What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about a article from Game Rant talking about Avowed is already a big hit on Steam, but we're going to go into some Steam numbers about that and go down that little rabbit hole. Okay, we're going to talk about Sony. Sony didn't pass on Dark Souls from software, just passed on Sony. Okay, we're also going to talk about WB Games Insider blames recent struggles on the existing president, poor leadership. We're also going to talk about Xbox games on PlayStation 5 is a win for PlayStation owners, former Sony boss says. And then we're also going to talk about ex-PlayStation executive says that studios aren't forced into live service stuff. They just feel it gives them a better chance of getting projects approved. If you guys like what we do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. What's going on, chat? Let me see who's all here. Good Papa, Eclipse, Dustin, El Nini, Jason, Lucas, Roadkill, Robert Jones, Travis. Who am I missing? Anybody else that I'm missing? Good morning, everybody. There's a couple other people in here. Big Mo, Stealth Gaming. Good morning. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is this article here from Avowed. Okay. It says, Avowed is already a big hit on Steam. Now, look. I love people that look at Steam numbers and they think they can think if it's good or bad, which there's no 100% like, well, it's good on Steam, so it's a popular game, right? So, and I'll show you a couple of other games across the board. All right. So Avowed is already a big hit on Steam. Okay. Now I'm playing Avowed. I like Avowed. Okay. Lots of people give it like a 7s, 8s, whatever. If it's an 80, if it's a 75, whatever it is. Okay. So Avowed is already a big hit on Steam. Avowed is freshly released fantasy RPG, Obsidian Entertainment, and the game has already made its mark on PC platform on Steam. Has it though? The title is a solid addition to February's 2025 release calendar, joining the launch of heavyweight strategy game Civilization 7 and the Lost Records Bloom and Rage. The left is also Strange Creators. Avowed has only been out on the market for 1 day, and its fully capable capacity has already taken oppressive standing in the charts. This sounds so tone deaf, okay? Like, so tone deaf. And again, this is not me shitting on Avowed. This is more shitting on the regular media saying that something is super popular and it's just exceeding in all expectations. And it's like, what are you looking at before you wrote this article? Okay. So Avowed is set in a world as it's in the same universe as Pillars of Eternity, spiritual successor of Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale's series. As an extra special treat, Xbox users Avowed has added to Game Pass on day one, giving players who own subscription immediate access to the action RPG at no extra cost. Now, a post at Reddit by Homemade Shock, one of Avowed's feats was shared on the game's subreddit, highlights it current ranked as #1 selling game on Steam's US charts. This means absolutely nothing, right? Like, again, I'll use my own YouTube channel as an example here. If, let's just say, nobody else goes live right now on YouTube, okay, and I happen to be live, and I'm the only one that's gone live, and I have no competition, I could be like, well, I'm the most watched live show on YouTube right now at the 10 o'clock spot, okay? That wouldn't be a lie, but it would also be bullshit because that's not true as far as the #1, right? Saying #1 in something doesn't mean anything unless you actually have a number attached to it, okay? So the game's reviews are very positive, which is true, okay? Now, the first day in the wilds during the beta build, with players particularly highlighting the ability of Avowed's companion system to make every relationship feel like a story instead of static, okay? It says SteamDB records Avowed 8,752 active players at the time of writing this, which is a plaudable start to the game's longevity. It reached an all-time peak for just over 17,000 players during its launch day. Now, Avowed's modding is also off to a strong start, with various qualities of life mods flooding into the scene. One player in particular has already created 9 mods to improve the title's gameplay for unique immersion, and it's also promising progression that proves gamers are taking a deeper interest in Avowed's experience. Okay, so I want to go over to this, okay? Now, again, this is not me shitting on Avowed. I like Avowed. I'm playing it. I'm enjoying it. I put 4 hours into it. I'm going to put more hours into it. I will beat the game. Okay. To show this and say that it's off to a good start, these are the same people, right? The mainstream media, this is the same people that told you that this was off to also a good start. Now, I get it. Okay. Veilguard had 89,000 peak on Steam. Now, Avowed has 17,000. I know what you're saying. You're like, well, 30. Actually, Avowed is on Game Pass. Okay. And Game Pass has got a lot more players on it than everything else. And I'm like, all right, cool. So let's bring in Starfield into the conversation. Okay. Because remember, Starfield, again, to the mainstream media, was not a success. Not a success. 330,000 all-time peak, not a success. But Avowed at the 17,490 success. What? Okay, you can tell where people lie when they say, like, oh, Dragon Age is going to be a huge success. And obviously, we know it sold less than 1.5 million units total. Okay. Outlaws didn't do very well, but they told you it was the #1 selling game that EA has ever done on Steam. Well, yeah, because there was no other games before that on there. Okay. So Starfield wasn't a success. Again, not from me, but from the media. Not successful. It's hurting. 330,000. And that went on, by the way, in their stats here, 4 million, between 3 million and 4 million, almost 5 million people on Steam. And we do know like 10 million people played it. Okay. But again, I'm not saying this is not a success. The media told you that 330,000 people, this is a downgrade. This is not successful. But Avowed, 17,490, that is very successful and off to a good start. Now, there has been games on Steam that they have this number, right? A very popular game, okay, is American Truck Simulator. Now, I know I'm comparing games that are nothing alike, but my point to this is 19,000 all-time peak for American Truck Simulator. Okay, now this is not on multiple platforms. This is just on PC, and this is around 3 million to about 8.5 million people basically have this game, which is very successful. Now, what one big number that's missing from all of this, okay, is we don't know how much it cost for these games. Okay, we don't know how much American Truck Simulator cost. We don't know how much Avowed cost. Okay, we don't understand what's successful or not successful based on the number that the budget of the game. Now, here's another game. Okay, Kingdom Come Deliverance. We know these numbers are real. 96,000 7 years ago. We know they went on to sell 8 million. Okay, and a total, I think it's like 11 million. There was an article that we read about the first Kingdom Come Deliverance. 96,000 7 years ago was the peak. Okay, which is around the same as Dragon Age. Okay, but of the longevity of Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a massive RPG, okay, it went on to go sell around 10 to 11 million copies over the 7 years. Now, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is out now, and they are at 256,000. Right? So this is way more successful than their previous on Steam at 96,000. And this is successful. Right now, they're around 1 million, okay, that they know of. 1.9, this is your loosely based numbers, okay? And with console in there, they're probably, and they came out and said they have over 2 million sales in the first week, I believe, right? So we know these numbers because they're telling us these numbers. So we know that concurrently, 256,000 people all-time max on Steam. 119,000 people are playing right now. And we know about 2 million people, or 1.9, and then the rest are on console, okay? So we see these numbers, right? Again, American Truck Simulator, 19,000. Euro Truck Simulator had 69,000. These went on to sell lots of copies, okay? But to say that Avowed is successful when it's way, way below this, and it's way, way below the other game that was on Game Pass, okay, at 330,000 for Starfield. Brand new IP, okay, brand new IP, okay? This is delusional by the media, Okay. You can like a game. You can think a game is good, but to say it's selling well, this is not selling well. Okay. And even if it's, let's just say it's matched over on Xbox Game Pass. Hell, let's just say everyone on Game Pass is playing it. And the last number we knew about Game Pass was 30 million people. 30 million people, if they were playing it, is still well under. Okay? Because those people didn't pay for the game, they paid for the service. So you have to prorate what the game is going to, how much money they make from the Game Pass, if they complete the game, how long they play the game. But again, this is not shitting on anyone that likes the game. If you like the game, like the game. But to say that 17,000 is a monumental because it's number one on Steam is just absolutely delusional. By Game Rant. By, who wrote this? By Joe Craig. Okay? It's like you're coping with something. And I don't know what he wrote or if he wrote anything for Dragon Age, but if Dragon Age is not successful at 89,000 for a brand new IP that came out, then I don't think Avowed at 17,000 is successful. Mo says 30 million is console only. That's not true, Mo. They've said that 30 million total, and we've actually went over this number a while back when saying that the majority of people that are playing on Game Pass are on PC, which was a 2-to-1 ratio. Right, so there was like 15 million or 20 million people that were playing. I think it was 35 million, if I'm not mistaken. There was 25 or 15 million on PC Game Pass, and then there was 10 million over on console, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I remember reading an article like that. All right, but the point is, Game Rant here I think is a little coping here a little bit, and again, this is not shitting on Avowed. This is shitting on the media that says that 17,000 is a huge success. It's not. It's not anywhere close to being a success, which is then goes into the next part of the conversation. Okay, what caused Avowed to have these bad numbers, right? What caused Avowed? Is it that people don't really know the Pillars of Eternity game? Are they not interested in the role-playing of this world? Is it the art director that came out and said stupid shit that really, I think, hurt the game a lot because a lot of people are just tired of it? It's just bad timing. Is it that there's other games coming out, like this game just released Tuesday? Monster Hunter comes out. Are people waiting to save their $60, I'm sorry, $70 for this game instead of that game? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot to go into effect. There's also high prices in the world as far as just groceries and whatnot. So if people don't really know the game, is it the marketing? Is it the art director that screwed it up? Is it Microsoft for not denouncing the guy who said the stuff and not picking a side? There's lots to go on here. Why do you think that Avowed didn't succeed, at least early on? Now, again, Avowed's on Game Pass. You can play Avowed today. You can play Avowed next month. You can play Avowed a year from now. And then down the road, Avowed probably will come to PlayStation to get to more systems and whatnot. But the overall problem, I think, massively, had to do with the what's the word I'm looking for? The overall substance of what the director said. I think the director really did a lot of damage to what was happening with this game, coming out and saying what he did. And I think a lot of things are of Microsoft and Xbox not saying anything to him out in the public, saying, hey, what he's saying is not from what we believe. You know, they could have just said, he doesn't represent us. They could have taken him out, like as far as like firing him, put him on discipline. He hasn't said anything in the 2 months since he said it, but they never came out and said, hey, yeah, we don't think like he does. And I think that's a big, huge bat signal in the sky saying, hey, yeah, we didn't denounce him, so we agree with him. And I think that's a big problem here. But these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Do you think Avowed will be successful in the future? Do you think that Microsoft will be firing people from Obsidian because these numbers are abysmal as far as a game that just came out on Tuesday? Or do you think, it's not a big deal. It is what it is, and it'll be here. Let me know in the comments section down below. Let me know in the live chat what you guys think. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Let's see. Let me scroll back up. Mo says, can you see the bias they had for Starfield with that statement? Yeah. Yeah, I can, Mo. And I think it's funny because 330,000 just on Steam, and they're like, yeah, this game's not successful. Again, I've been consistent. I think the budget for games on Xbox are much less than games that are $350 million, right? I think they keep it around 225 and below, 200 million. And because they do that, they don't need to sell the 7 million copies of games to be profitable. They can be profitable by selling 2 to 3 million copies of the games, which Starfield did just on Steam alone. And then on top of that, they made more sales for Game Pass. 30 and Still Gaming, unlike the media, numbers don't lie. Numbers never lie. Numbers never lie. Again, when you look at like American Truck Simulator and it only has a concurrent of 19,000, but it sold millions of copies, that's possible, right? That's a thing. But to say that 17,000 at the start, okay, is successful, it's not. Because American Truck Simulator wasn't successful at the start. It became successful because of all the DLCs they put in. They kept supporting it. Now, again, American Truck Simulator didn't cost $400 million to make. You know what I'm saying? So they can slowly bring in DLC for that game and make money over time. Roadkill says, hey, I like Avowed. Way more than I like Starfield. Again, I wasn't shitting on Avowed, Roadkill. I like Avowed. I think it's a good game. But it's a little delusional saying it's off to a great start. Because it's definitely not off to a great start. Travis says, problem is Steam isn't the only thing that matters to anyone except Steam boys. Well, a lot of people, a lot of journalists like to use that as the one-all be-all of numbers where it's just a data point in a greater chart. Let's see. Majority of the growth is in PC. Game says, I love how they use Steam for Xbox Gamer. Right. But the Game Pass, though, is not a direct sale. You know what I mean? Game Pass, even if there's 10 million people playing on Game Pass, that's not a 1-to-1 ratio of $70. That's a $20 if they have Ultimate, if they get day one. That's $20. So you would need three people. So if there's 30 million people playing, really? Or I'm sorry, 3 people playing, that's one sale basically for that game. It's still under because it's $70. Matt Hansen caused it. Next question, please. I believe he did, Travis. I think he did more harm to this game than the game it did itself. I think the game itself is very good. I think it's should be selling much better, but I think a lot of people are just turned off by what he said. They're just like, I'm tired of this. And it's not just this, right? It's because of what happened before. It's because what happened to Dragon Age Veilguard. People got preached to, and then other things happen, and then this happened. It's just like, nah, I'm good. This is like the Last Jedi to Solo effect, right? This is the Marvel's Avengers to the Guardians of the Galaxy effect, where the game before it hurt the game that came after, or the movie that came before it hurt the movie after. Clip says, it's funny that the same people that complain about the Black Myth, that the game had 2 million people playing it on Steam, but Avowed is a huge success. Yeah, all I'm saying is be consistent across the board, right? It's like this article should be, like, they should have said we're sponsored by Avowed. Right? To be that delusional and be like, yeah, it's super selling really well. Is it? Because the article says it's selling really well on Steam. Is it? Kubini says, it's on Game Pass, PC, and console. I mean, Steam charts don't reflect those numbers. Correct. The article is stating, just in the article, that it's doing very well on Steam because it's number 1 on Steam. But the numbers don't reflect that it's doing very well on Steam. Jason says, it could be bad, just bad timing. The Monster Hunter is so close. Yeah, and we actually watched video, I think it was last year, or was it the year before? There was a small independent developer that made a independent game on Steam. And he did his research after he made the game. It took him research about a year to when he should drop the game. right? And he even said that it's super hard and super important to advertise your game in certain windows, and how important it is to drop it in a window where something else is not affecting it. Morning, Wonder Rose. Come on, Ray. It's Microsoft who have chosen the radical over its customers. Exactly, right? And that's the way I look at it, right? I look at it as Xbox didn't come out, Obsidian didn't come out, nobody came out against Matt Hansen, what he said. So not choosing a side is choosing a side from Microsoft, from Obsidian. They chose him over the customer base, and the customer base is now showing you that's fine. You can do that, right? Because I didn't pay for it, right? I'm assuming a lot of you didn't pay for it that are playing it. And if you're playing Avowed and you like Avowed, you probably didn't give them $70 for that. You're just playing it on Game Pass. The average gamer never heard a word about what the director said. And you're absolutely right. And the average gamer is not playing the game. The average gamer is not playing that game. The average gamer has never heard of Avowed because they never played Perils of Eternity, don't know anything about it, not interested in that game. Maybe they're not interested in RPGs, okay? You're absolutely right. The majority of the people have never even heard him say, but the people that do make the sales of people that are into RPGs and are into that stuff did hear what he said. Artemis says, I wonder why so many people are saying the game is flopped. I don't think it's flopped, Artemis. I think right now it's not selling well what it's supposed to, or what we thought it should have sold. Do you think, obviously it's hard to say looking back looking back and having 2020, you're looking back and looking at it and going, if Matt Hansen didn't say it, or hindsight's 2020, I should say, right? If Matt Hansen didn't say anything about Avowed, do we think they would have sold much more? Or do we think it sells the exact same? If you go to forums, if you go to Twitter, if you go to a lot of places, people are like, I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this. They're vocally saying, I'm not buying this. Then there's the other people that don't say anything. They see what's going on and they're like, well, why aren't they buying it? Well, if they're not buying it, it must be not good, right? So they just don't buy it, right? Then there's the people that are saying, I'm not going to buy it. I have Game Pass, so I'm just going to play it. And those people are like, it's good. Good. But that's not a sale. That's not a sale. That's just Game Pass. Microsoft fired 10 of thousands of good people. Why can't they just fire this guy? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens down the road. Because if this game, let's say, doesn't sell, it doesn't start to succeed more down the road, right? If they fire the studio or fire a bunch of people from the studio because the studio failed to deliver, do we have to look at the finger? Can we point it at the art director for screwing it up? Or is it the whole studio itself? I would be pissed if I was an employee there that we worked on it for 5 years, and because someone has a loud mouth, they ruined it for the rest of us. I'd be pissed. Roic says those numbers are nothing. What did Black Myth Wukong do? Like 250,000 or more at release? Yeah, and we know the numbers. 250,000, it sold 8 million copies or whatever from Steam, and then it sold more on console or a PC than it did on console. Jason says, could the situation like Titanfall 2, where it's just coming out at a bad time, releasing between Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Monster Hunter World, probably hurts the interest? I saw a couple of people on Twitter, Jason, talk about how they started playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which they never played before, right? They played it for the first time. They were playing it for the last week or so. Then they went to Avowed, and they went, wow. Like, I don't realize how good Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is until I played Avowed, because of the RPG, as far as an RPG. Starfield sold 2 million day one across Steam and Xbox? Correct. Not even day one, it was 5-day early access. They sold it for $100, so they made extra money. It was 2 million sales of $100. Then there was more people that got if you have Game Pass, you paid $30 to upgrade to get a 5-day early access, right? And people then said that wasn't successful. But yet it has 330,000 concurrent players on Steam, right? Those numbers, when people were talking about this, okay? Again, this is not me saying it's a bad game. When Starfield came out, I said, no, it's popular. And everyone's like, no, it's not. 330,000, okay, is the number. It tells you there. That's a good number to have, Okay. But when you look at this, that's not a good number. When you look at this, that's not a good number. For a brand new, these are all brand new IPs. Starfield's a brand new IP, 330,000. Dragon Age, it's not even a new IP. That's a continuation of an IP. Okay. 89,000. And then Avowed, brand new IP, linked to Eternals, Pillars of Eternity. This is a bad number. Right? Good number that the media told you was bad. Bad number that the media is telling you is good. Okay? Numbers lie all the time. Not if they're real numbers, Jones. Correction, people lie with numbers all the time. Correct. Quintar says Avowed is also M-rated, so it's not a good comparison. Look, any game is a good comparison when a game comes out, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. It all depends on where it drops. It all depends what type of game it is. It all depends on if someone's talking shit about your game or not that should have kept their mouth shut. I mean, I can't wait to see the spin of when Assassin's Creed comes out. If it's successful, let's say, and then the media says, oh, it's not successful, but it shows like a number of like 200,000 people playing or something concurrently. Or the opposite, where it has like 17,000 people playing it, and they're like, it's a huge success. It's like, because they do it all the time. Roadkill says, oh, I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying, like about more than Starfield. Yeah. Let's see. Ray says, lucky few who will also be able to run Monster Hunter to accept performance. Gaming says, okay, so what about a regular Xbox game purchase? That still exist? Yeah, it does. But they don't share those numbers. And this is where the conversation starts, right? When the articles are written, they can't tell you that it's sold. What they do is they go to Xbox and say that they'll go to the top tier list. And they'll be like, oh, look, it's number one. You can tell me a game's number one. I can tell you my podcast is number one. Okay? But unless you know what that number is and what number two is, saying you're number one doesn't mean it's a good sale. It just means maybe nothing's out. Look at movies that come out when they're up against something else. They're like, oh, it's number one at the box office, but it only sold like a million showings or whatever, a million tickets. Fantastic. You're number one, but you didn't sell very well. Outer Worlds has about 20K concurrent for the studio. That's spot on. Is that when it first came out? Is that when it first came out? I'll have to look it up. Was it Outer Worlds? Outer Worlds Steam charts. Oh, wrong one. There you go. All right, 20K. Was that super successful? It wasn't super successful. It's a good game, though. Right? I loved Outer Worlds. I can't wait for Outer Worlds 2. Right? So, is it successful? I don't remember seeing articles that Outer Worlds was super successful when it came out. It just had 20K. Right? And let's see what it ended up with. 700,000 to 1.5 million. Let's look at Avowed. Okay? Not even close. Not even close. Now, obviously, Outer Worlds came out how many years ago? 4.3 years ago. I mean, this is what they're telling you. 1.5 million units sold. Right now, Avowed is 1/10 of what Outer Worlds sold, based on Steam. Based on Steam. Gaming says, so only Democrats purchased this game due to what he said. There you go, Dems. Don't play games. Where are you getting this? Who said only Democrats are buying games like this? Man, what a stupid take that is, huh? Robert Jones says, I disagree with this action in Microsoft part means that it picked a side. I'm sure they took them responding would be much worse. Oh, hell no, it wouldn't. Hell no, it wouldn't. Look at what happened. Look at what happened to other businesses that didn't denounce their employee for saying something and how the companies got boycotted and stuff. Your customer base doesn't care what, like, they don't want to be preached to. They don't want to be preached to. Both sides. According to gaming up here, right? Democrats and Republicans don't want to be preached to. Nobody wants to be solicited stuff. Nobody wants to be preached to about things. They just want to play games. They just want to drink the beer. They just want to drive the tractors. They just want to drive their cars. El Nidi says Matt Hansen definitely hurt the sales. Ray says the average gamers are the people who buy games because of the echoes of the hardcore. If the echoes are also in the ear and the good, they buy. If they are bad, they skip it. Right, or wait for it to go on sale, which then hurts the company in general because they didn't buy it at full price. Nobody said Game Pass is free. I said it's 1/3 of the cost of the game. If you have one person buy Avowed for $70, if you have 3 people play it on Game Pass, that's $20. You would have to have 3 people play it on Game Pass, and that would be $60. Yeah, you have to listen to what I'm saying. Artemis says the game has 4 distribution channels: Xbox, Game Pass, Battle.net, and Steam. And the anti-woke crowd attacked the game without seeing the game in action. Sure. But is that their fault? Or is that the fault of the person coming out and then attacking people? You know what I mean? Quintar says, with how the comfortable Matt Hansen was with saying that, it's also would not surprise me if the whole staff might think that way. I mean, he said he's got to own the chuds. I mean, that's what he said, right? Which also what Jason Schreier said. And Jason Schreier took that down. And that was for Vanguard. What's real successful game in 2025? In successful game studios are having layoffs and shutting down. That's another conversation we could have, Jax. Like what makes success? We don't know what the budget was, right? If a game, we could do it with movies, right? So the Godzilla -1 movie cost $6 million to make, right? And it went on to make a crap ton of money. Low budget, high success. Power World, $6 million, right? It was $6 million. It was, right? Sold 25 million copies. That's a success, right? That's a very big success. Ray says Xbox games are doing good. They're not console sellers. El Nini says I'm enjoying Avowed. I am too. Yeah. But I'm also not delusional saying that it's selling very well. Travis says Outer Worlds 2, I hope it's good. I think it will be good. I thought Outer Worlds 1 was great. If Microsoft fired Matt Hansen, the people would have called Microsoft based and would have run to Avowed. Right, here's a perfect example. What was happening with Hogwarts Legacy? Remember Hogwarts Legacy? The people were coming out and saying that Hogwarts Legacy is bad. And people were like, no, it's not bad, right? People rallied around it. People bought Hogwarts Legacy that weren't even interested in the game. Some people bought like 2 copies of the game, right? And it went on to sell like 25 million copies, right? The media was shitting on it, saying it was bad. They basically boycotted Hogwarts Legacy at the award show. Wasn't nominated for anything. Great game. Sold 25 million copies. Nobody gave it a shot. But yet it sold 25 million copies. Wasn't successful, but yet it sold 25 million copies. It's like very, very strange, right? Very strange. Now let's look at that, right? Let me bring that up. What was the charts on Steam? Yeah. According to the media, Hogwarts Legacy didn't do well. You got to boycott the game, they said. You got to boycott the game. And everyone was like, yeah, we'll boycott it. And they went out and bought it more. Sarge says, how do you guys not see the difference between how devs act and how they act before? Direct attacks into the fan base because they don't like people are saying. When did that ever matter? Right? Eclipse says, make a game, sell a game. That's all you have to do. Shut your damn mouth and make a game. You know what you would have to hurt him more if the game would have sold better. Right. Like, think about that, Brain. All they had to do was just stay quiet, and they could have put the tags in there. He could have owned Elon Musk or the Chuds, right? If he just kept his mouth shut. The proof is in the pudding. Make a game, sell a game. That's it. The Hogwarts Legacy debacle was a travesty. The media directly attacked the game. Yeah, and it was successful. Very successful. Stealth says the first to send it might be on the shutdown train. Oh, really? They're done with that already? Where are you seeing this, Stealth? Ray says, I don't buy Kojima games since they insulted people in America are unrefined monkey who only play pew pew games because they didn't like Death Stranding. Did they really say that? I don't play those games anyway. Did they actually say that? What's going on, dog? Kubini says that they released 18 games on Steam. Avowed is 7th. 3 days in, all-time Obsidian. You know what? What did this will be a good thing. Let's see. Fallout New Vegas, right? This is one of Obsidian Games' best titles ever, right? 51,000. 51,000 14 years ago. 14 years ago. Are pronouns the problem? You know what's funny? Because we watched Force Gaming's video, and he didn't say anything about it. He just said this is the character creation, and there was a tab there that the people saw it, right? And then people ran with it, and when people ran with it, then Matt Hansen came out and started yelling at, Elon Musk and the Chuds because of it, and says, I can't wait to show you or whatever. And then they went quiet. And then it was an option where you could turn it on or turn it off if you wanted it on the thing. There's nothing that I've seen so far in the game that does anything like that, right? As far as what Veilguard did. And it would have been real simple if they didn't say anything, right? If they didn't say anything, or they came out and said, no, it's just an option. Options are great, right? If it's there and it's not preachy, it's not a problem. But they didn't come out and denounce it to say, oh, no, that's not how the game is. We just have options in there and you can turn it off and on. No one said that, right? Which means at some point, it looks like they changed what they were doing because of the actions of Matt. Now, I'm speculating here, but for not coming out and saying, hey, no, the they, them pronouns inside the game is not a big deal. You can turn it on or off. And that would be it. And it would be fine. Quintar says, cannot forget the Obsidian is also known as Black Isles studio as well. Let's see. Sarge says, I love being insulted by a foreigner and then have to translate the insult and repeating it the insult. Well, was it a bad insult or was it like bad translation? I don't know. I don't remember them saying that, so... All right, so there you go. That's the Avowed article saying that it's the very successful. Even very successful, it's still lower than the other Obsidian games that came out. So we'll see what happens. Again, doesn't hurt me in any way, shape, or form. I like the game. I'm going to play the game. Hopefully, and you know what the funny part is? It doesn't matter if it succeeds or doesn't succeed, because if people lose their jobs, because we've seen people that lose their jobs when games are successful, and then we see games, people lose their jobs because it's not successful. So right now, it's a toss-up. Is Microsoft going to fire the studio because this fails? Probably not. I don't think so, but we've seen weirder things. Look at Hi-Fi Rush, right? Tango Works made a great game, won an award. People liked the game, sold or played 4 million. People played 4 million of it, and apparently it wasn't good enough. So we'll see what happens. Ray says, okay, Obsidian made 5 games in 5 or 6 years. Other studios make a single game in 10 years. I say Obsidian is doing great. Yeah, and especially what we don't know what the budget of those games are, Ray. Right? I don't think Avowed cost them $200 million. Right? Just based on what I've played, I don't think it cost them $200 million. I would love to know the price, but they're not going to tell us that price. But again, because it's not $200 million, they don't need to sell 5-6 million copies. They could sell 2 million copies, and that might be profitable. Dog says the game is great. That's coming from a sports guy. Definitely not my type of game, but loving the story so far, and it's got hooked in me. Luke said that yesterday. He said that you were really enjoying it. Yeah, I'm enjoying the 4 hours that I put in so far. Gaming says, number 1 on the Steam worldwide charts and the Xbox charts. Give it a weekend, and the player count will go up. It'll probably go up to like 30,000, right? 30,000, which is still 50,000 less than what, Veilguard was. Now, obviously, Veilguard took 10 years to make and over $300 million. So they lost their money on that. That game was unsuccessful. Sold less than 1.5 million for Dragon Age Veilguard. Do I think Avowed is in that same situation? I don't think it needs to sell as many as Veilguard. It also wasn't in production for as long, and I don't think they spent as much. So, Kyle says, now with Avowed out and Outer Worlds 2 being released later this year, you think they'll be full board on making a new Fallout? Microsoft wants for the show hype. You would think that they would have either a remaster or something coming out, because if Season 2 of Fallout comes out, it takes place in Fallout New Vegas time, or in Vegas. You would think they would go hand in hand by putting something there. The price for Avowed, $130 million? Well, see, that's perfect, right? If it's around $130 million, then they don't even need to sell 2 million copies to be profitable, right? And even if they had to sell a little bit over 2 million copies, if they slowly get that 2 million back over the next year and a half, then it's still profitable for them. And this is why I think, and I've said this, I know you're new in the channel, right? But I've said this in the past, where Xbox doesn't have to sell as many games as PlayStation does for their first party titles, because their price is down, right? They're not getting the 90s, in the rating for Metacritic and stuff, but they are making mid 80s, high 80s for a lot of their games, and their budgets are not anywhere near. They're like half of what the other AAA games are doing, and that's the business model that Microsoft is doing. Mo says, Obsidian said they want to make a game a year. Avowed was delayed, so they are on track with Outer Worlds 2 dropping this year. There you go. Kylo says, I bet a lot of people who bought Avowed bought it and are still playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and want to beat that in hopes for Avowed afterwards. But like I said, Kylo, the people that I saw playing, they played Kingdom Come Deliverance and they went to go play Avowed, and they're like, oh, man. It's hurting Avowed because of the way the RPG is for Kingdom Come Deliverance to Avowed is like night and day, which we talked about yesterday. 14-year-old game compared to what Avowed's doing as far as RPG elements inside the game. I saw a video. We did the one with Skyrim versus Avowed yesterday. Someone did Oblivion to Avowed, which is even older. It's like, what, 2005, 2006? Which is like another 5-6 years on top of Skyrim. Crazy. I like the ability of whatever you want to be. I like it was going towards spells. I wasn't feeling it, so I changed it over to being a warrior, bashing brains in, just as simple things like that. Yeah, I get it. I get it. It hooked me. It hooked me within the first 2 hours. I was like, I like this. I like the exploration. I like the combat. The combat feels really good. The exploration feels really good. Ron Slusher says Pedro Pascal's horse armor will save Avowed. Roadkill says Vowed or Vowed is a very, very easy RPG. I wouldn't even call it an RPG. I call it an action game. Well, that's what I called it. I called it like a Fisher Price RPG. It's like my first RPG. That's the way Avowed feels. Like if you're not a person that's ever played a rich RPG and you play Avowed, you'll like it because you'll be like, oh, this is nice. And then if you want to go deeper, you can go back and play other games that are much, much better RPGs. Is it Morrowind versus Avowed? Do they have Morrowind versus Avowed? I thought it was Oblivion versus Avowed. Like Outer Worlds 1 gave me that idea of exploring unknown worlds. Just give me more of that. All I need. Yeah. I'm excited for Outer Worlds 2 when it comes out. Dog says, hey, I'm a simple guy, Fisher Price RPG. But no, my point is it's not insulting the game, Roadkill. Or Dog. It's just saying that, look, you said that it's not a game that you would play. But you're playing it and you're liking it. And now because you like it, now you said you're going to play Outer Worlds 2 or give Outer Worlds a shot. That's what it's for. That's what it's for. So, for instance, I brought up Minecraft Dungeons yesterday. Minecraft Dungeons, I said the exact same thing. I said Minecraft Dungeons is the Fisher Price or preschool, action RPG. Okay, like a Diablo. So if you've never played Diablo, like my son never played Diablo because he's too young to play Diablo, right? He's too young to play a lot of those other games. But he played Minecraft Dungeons, and that was his first introduction to that type of style of game, right? That's what it is. But now that he likes that type of game, now he's going to start looking at other games like that. Ray says Avowed is a looter magic cutter. Buddha Papa says 30. Travis wants to explore unknown worlds. Right. Compared to Avowed, Starfield still wins based on engine. I mean, I love Starfield. I put over 200 hours into Starfield. Starfield got shit, but I really enjoyed it. I thought the side quests in Starfield were phenomenal. I thought the main storyline was absolute shit. But overall, I loved Starfield. Sub says, yeah, I already have 15 hours into it, like the combat. Very satisfying. Stealth says, so how is Avowed? I haven't tried it yet. I like it, Stealth. I think it's got good structure. If you compare it to what we did yesterday, like a Skyrim from 14 years ago, just in general, I think games are getting simpler. They're not putting as much detail in as far as, the RPG elements. But then you look at Kingdom Come Deliverance, and it goes above and beyond hitting that bar of what RPGs were, and then going above that. But then you look at Avowed, which goes way, way below what an RPG should be. But the combat feels good. The exploration feels good. The voice acting is very good. The storytelling, mediocre. But overall, I'm really liking Avowed for the 4 hours that I put in. Sarge says, but present day Fisher Price, not old school Fisher Price, is pretty fat fingers instead of pill people. Oh, I see what you're saying. I love the pill people. They're always dangerous and also should follow them, right? The little guys that came with the Fisher Price stuff. Travis, you're just remember when Starfield does come to PlayStation, you're just not allowed to play it, okay? Got it. Dog says, how far did you get and about? I'm 4 hours in. I'm level 4 or 5. I thought we explored a lot, but then when you go to the map and you see the trail that you did, I was like, I barely scratched the first area. What's going on, Crowded? Mike, I haven't watched it yet, but IGN just released a video with 2 of the creators of the guy that gave it a 7. 2 of the creators of what? Avowed? Big Mad Mo says, just got the 2 docs. The 2 docs. I think I've done 1 main mission. Maybe 1 main mission in Avowed. Quintar with the 10 gifted memberships. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Roadkill says, I've been thinking about this, just doing a mustache lately. Every time I look into the mirror, it's just screaming at me. I will never just do a mustache. I did a mustache, when I shave my beard, and I'll just keep this. It looks weird. Can't do it. No matter the Game Pass, subs are eating good. If Avowed is too simple, 40K Rogue Trader game to Game Pass yesterday. Yeah, another game. Another game came to Game Pass. We were going to play that last night, but it wasn't on Game Pass when me and Sarge went live, so we had to move on from it. Maybe we'll play it next week. All right. Let's go to the next story. This one is Sony didn't pass on Dark Souls. From Software just passed on Sony. You guys like what we do here? We do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, we just have conversations, go over news stories, have conversations. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. I do appreciate you very much for coming in. We do live streams, uploads, podcasts. We have another gaming channel, 30 and Still Gaming. We have a entertainment channel, I guess you can call it, which is Nerding with 30. We have a AI music channel that we do. Create music. If you want to listen to it before the show starts, come in a little early and listen to that. That's called 30 and Still Jamming. And then we have this main channel here called 30 NSG, which is all pretty much live stuff. And then we do uploads as well. All right, so Sony didn't pass on Dark Souls. From Software just passed on Sony. The developer didn't like how PlayStation team treated it with the Demon Souls. Well, this is interesting. Just before I even read the article, maybe this is why you're not getting a remaster on PlayStation. Everyone's like, just give us the remaster, and everyone's like, why aren't they giving it to it? Maybe this has something to do with it, right? So choices have consequences. Unfortunately for Sony, one particular decision has led the company to missing out on a couple of other big franchises in gaming. The PlayStation team decided not to publish Demon Souls globally in 2009, which led to a sore taste for the now well-known studio FromSoft. That meant that developer looked somewhere elsewhere for publisher Dark Souls, according to the former PlayStation boss. Now, VGC reports that Yoshida explained that Sony didn't publish Dark Souls while appearing in the Secret Symbols podcast. It wasn't because a PlayStation team wasn't interested, he said, but From Software was already working on the sequel to Demon Souls and also was disappointed on how PlayStation treated them, and he wanted to work with them again, but they passed on it, said Yoshida. Okay. For those unfamiliar, Atlas ended up publishing Demon Souls in North America on the PlayStation 3, while Bandai Namco handled similar duties in Europe. Sony reportedly passed on bringing the action RPG to the worldwide markets because PlayStation team didn't think it would be appeal to the mass market. Ultimately, Demon Souls ended up being GameSpot's Game of the Year in 2009. Afterwards, From Software partnered Bandai Namco for Dark Souls franchise, which spawned 3 games from the Bandai Namco and also worked on developers on a critically acclaimed Elden Ring series, which Elden Ring Night Reign launches on May 30th. So in retrospect, Sony missed out on handling these 2 massive properties over the past 15 years. See, not only does Microsoft make bad choices by skipping out on Spider-Man and not doing other things, Sony also fucks up. It's amazing. I know. Okay. However, Sony did team up with FromSoft again in PlayStation 4 exclusive Bloodborne. We have a huge respect for From Software. President Hideki said, we are also able to work with them again, Yoshida said. Bloodborne is one of the best games. Last month, he retired from Sony after 31 years with the company, and Yoshida started with his career accounting and rose up to the Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide president for over a decade before taking on indie jobs with the company. So there you go. So even Sony, in their vast glory, make bad choices with business. Okay, I think going forward, I mean, we already saw Pearl Abyss. Pearl Abyss doesn't want to just work with PlayStation; they want to work as and publish their game on multiple platforms. So they were trying it back then, and they didn't like it, and now Pearl Abyss with their game. What's the not Desert? what's that game called? Is Black Desert Online, and what's the next one called? Crimson Desert, right? Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert was supposed to be, PlayStation was just going to make it exclusive for them, and they said, no, we're going to publish it ourselves, and we're putting it everywhere, which I think is a smart move, obviously, because that's where the market's going, right? The market is going where all games are played everywhere. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Crowd says the remake of Demon's Souls has a very different tone to the original. It's not as good as just prettier. I prefer a remake, Jason says. Travis says, has anyone someone who's allowed to say when FromSoft games are trash? Dark Souls remake equals not trash. El Nitty says, I only care about Bloodborne. Altern says that they also hold that grudge since 2009. Japanese people need to learn about forgiveness. I don't think it's they're still holding on to a grudge. Altern, he's allowed to tell his stories now because he's retired. And you should check out the Transformers Crossfire. Okay. Eclipse says, wow, Demon's Souls came out in 2009. That's crazy. I thought it was just a launched and title for PlayStation 3. Transformers Crossfire. What's Transformers Crossfire? Did you post it in the Discord? Oh, this is why you're saying First Ascendant might be in rough waters. Below expectations. We don't know what their expectations are. So what's below? Jason says, I still got my PlayStation 3 exclusive edition of Demon's Souls, worth a decent penny now. Quintar says the day's exclusives are coming to an end. Limit releases, can completely understand. I think you get timed more than you get the exclusive, but the time has to be small, right? Here's the thing that's going to happen, right? PlayStation could make the bidding, right? And we've talked about this before. PlayStation could make the bidding where they make Grand Theft Auto 6 timed exclusive for like a month or two, right? Get those like console sales up and whatnot. I think that would be a dumb move just in the broader picture, but it'd be a smart move for them to do if they paid the money. Would they get that money back though? Because I do believe that Grand Theft Auto 6 is a system seller. It will move people over from PlayStation 4 that haven't picked up a PlayStation 5 yet. That could be the winning factor where those people are already in the ecosystem of PlayStation, and then those will buy a PlayStation to get Grand Theft Auto. I don't see it happen the other direction. I don't see Grand Theft Auto 6 having like exclusive on Xbox, because that wouldn't be a smart move. Just fundamentally, they don't have enough systems out there. And I don't think people would go out and buy an Xbox to get Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't know. I don't find it the other way, because just the market share of Xbox with consoles compared to the other console is just 2-1. Right? And they've always been with PlayStation. So I can see them doing something along the lines with Grand Theft Auto, but hopefully it's not like a year. Right? I hated that they do that for the strikes and whatnot for Destiny. I hated that they did that for Hogwarts Legacy. I guess they could maybe put like a mission or something like that. Put it in Discord. All right. Transformers Crossfire Optimus Prime gameplay. What is this? Are you gonna get my hopes up here? Are you getting my hopes up here? Michael Bay Transformers here. All right, let's look at this real fast.
More Decepticons. More Decepticons. More Decepticons. Weapons.
I hate that it's Michael Bay.
Destroy the Decepticons. More Decepticons.
Is this a fan-made thing?
Exceptional. Exceptional. Outstanding.
This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't look good. Stealth. Definitely not good.
You blew it!
Is that AI Transformers? Did you guys see the Assassin's Creed knockoff? Did you guys see this? Hold on. Let me find this for you. Hold on. Where is it? There's a game. It's on Steam. I just saw it. The hell's it called? Yeah, that's it. That's it, Brain. The Yuzuka Simulator. That's it. Did you guys see this?
I am Oda Nobunaga. I am
So this is coming out. This is coming out the same day as Assassin's Creed Shadows. Someone made this on Steam. Since you showed me the shitty Transformers, I'm going to show you this, right? And this is going to be really funny. What do you think is going to sell more? This or AC Shadows? All right, are you ready?
I am Oda Nobunaga. I am Daimyo. You shall be my samurai, Yasuke. You will help me unify Japan. Go now to the streets. Fight your way up to Takatenjin Castle, controlled by the Takeda clan.
Foreigner.
He's got a gun. He's got.
For the Takeda clan.
Please wish list. Right? So, somebody put this together. Here's the best part, though. The best part. The studio's name. The studio's name is Historically Accurate Developers. So good. It's so good.
You serious?
So freaking good. Somebody came up and said, we're going to make a game of AC Shadows knockoff. We're going to call our studio History Accurate Developers, and it has a car and guns. Fantastic. This could be the most wishlist game, right? This could be the most wishlist game. Just because of a troll. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the articles written? Could you imagine being the studio of Ubisoft where you put in 10 years, 4 reboots, okay? Rewriting things, doing all this stuff to try to make one game, and this guy makes a game probably in like a month, and he makes more money than you. Imagine that. Travis says, congrats. They just convinced me to get AC Shadows. Well done, guys. Bro, if it outsells AC Shadows, I will die laughing. It'd be fucking hilarious. It would be hilarious. Altered says 33 million copies sold. That would be. Can you imagine? What are they charging? Do they have a price for what this is? I don't think they're charging. Because if it's real, they have to come through. It comes out the exact same day as it, though, which I think is funny. Travis, you do understand it's a joke, right? You do understand it's a joke. I think you're missing the point. You playing Monster Hunter Wilds next week? I am not. I got 2 games I'm still playing. I'm playing Avowed and I'm playing Eternal Strands. So we're gonna be playing that. Jason says it'll probably sell enough to keep them in business, though. Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. Could you just imagine if it sold like 1,000 copies? Kuda Papa says AC Shadow's brand name means nothing anymore. It was fool's gold. Travis says, "Oh, I get it. The joke is just not funny to me. The game looks like it should be paying me to play it. I mean, that's because you don't have a sense of humor. That's because you don't have a sense of humor." All right, let's go with WB. The next story. WB Games Insider blames recent struggles on existing president, poor leadership, addictions to chasing trends. It will take 2 or 3 years to rebuild. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the story. We don't even have to read it. No, we'll read it. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just read articles, have conversations, give you my thoughts, and then I get your thoughts in the comment section and in the live chat below. All right, so WB Insider blames recent struggles on existing president's poor leadership. I say it all the time. People are like, this game sucks. They did this. They made this live service. This game closed down. They don't know how to spend their money. I'm like, that sounds like leadership to me. Okay. So in the wake of President Dave Haddad, recent resignation announcements, Insider Warner Brothers Games are now opening up regarding the feelings towards their former boss. Well, of course, you can't talk shit about the guy while he's there. You got to talk shit about the guy once he leaves, with many citing in the lack of divisive leadership and addiction to trend chasing as one of the main reasons for division ongoing implosions. You know who wouldn't like this? Being cruel, right? Because you're going to talk about the guy after he leaves, not when he's there. Mark Daria. Mark Daria wouldn't like this because you don't get to talk bad about people. You only can shoot so high or low on who you're going to make fun of and talk shit about. Speaking with having their concerns related to the public, Bloomberg Jason Schreier, as part of the recent report of the studio internal turmoil, said the Insider describes Haddad's tenure as one of the most confusion and frustration of all, which continually resulted in a string of back-to-back failures in the form of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Harry Potter, Quidditch Champions, and Multiverses. I mean, you don't have to be psychic to know that none of these games are going to be successful. I mean, we said that these weren't going to be successful, right? How do you have a Hogwarts Legacy that makes 25 million copies and then not put Quidditch in there and make a separate Quidditch game that looks bad and basically haven't heard about it? Multiverses could be a monumental success, and yet they just sat there and went, you want more characters? Then we're going to put them behind paywalls. You have to have a certain shirt to play certain parts of the game. Okay. To some who worked there closely with the veteran executive, the news of Haddad exits didn't come as a surprise. Summarized Schreier, the only question was why it had taken so long. Look, we've been saying this for so long, right? In Hollywood, people succeed upwards. They make shit products and yet they get promoted. Okay. They do this in video games as well. People are held accountable. Just because you have a job, okay? Just because you have a job doesn't mean that you're supposed to be a complete asshole. You know what I'm saying? Give me 1 second. There you go. Um, just because you think you're in that position that you're 100% untouchable, right? You make bad choices and people fire you. Why? Because companies need to make money. Well, if you're making bad choice after bad choice and you're completely detached from what gamers want, okay, it's amazing. Like, how do you look at this and go, yeah, Suicide Squad, and we read another article, they didn't want to make it a live service game. They forced Rocksteady to make a live service game. And Suicide Squad failed because of it, okay? Harry Potter Quidditch. You could have put a Quidditch game inside Hogwarts Legacy. Nope. They said, you know what we should do? Let's not put Quidditch in there. Let's build a whole stadium in there. But let's take it and then put it in a separate game and then put microtransactions behind that. Multiverses. Let's put a fighting game, but let's not put all the brands that we have. Let's just put one of the Game of Thrones people. Let's just do one of these other people from another franchise. Let's not put our biggest franchise in there of Harry Potter in there. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Right? To some who work closely with the veteran executives, the news of Haddad exits that didn't come as a surprise, and thanks to the inability and properly guide of division of the IPs, a group of sources familiar with Warner Brothers Discover business operations have admitted that the company now has, per Schreier, major gaps in the portfolio that will likely present for the next year or two, particularly as they expected Suicide Squad Multiverse to continue generating significant revenue at least through the end of the year. I like how they chose to pick this picture to flick people off, right? And then rather external market conditions being blamed for poor performance in the trio of titles, insiders instead largely agree that the Haddad's own fumbles that led to these digital disasters. I have a question, though. Yes, he's the leader. Yes, he makes the choices, but is there nobody else pushing back? Are they just a bunch of yes men? Yes men and women that just sit there and be like, yeah, it's a great idea, Dave. Yeah, that's fantastic. So according to an interview with 24 current former Warner Brother employees, the lack of strong, cohesive vision during Haddad's terminus period, in which Warner Brothers struggles through multiple reorganizations, led to years of influctuation, trend chasing, and wasted development time, wrote Schreier. A long way once revered studios under the Warner Brothers umbrella and have them reputable hits, lost key staff members, burned through hundreds of millions of dollars. And they're like, what, 50? I think they're like 50 million. Is it 50 million or 50 billion in the hole? Okay. I think it was 50 million. Bloomberg reported that further details, despite the career history working with such developers, Activision Blizzard, the colleagues described him as a polished executive who does not appear to spend much time playing video games himself. Well, it's always good when you have a guy running a video game company that doesn't know anything about video games. Something subordinates occasionally found challenging as they tried to talk to him about the nuisance of product decisions. Okay. Some of the staff having also griped with also making them months to receive answers, and their questions matter big or small, ranging from studio's next game to whether they also participate in the annual E3 trade conference. Okay. It says said issues were also further exacerbated. Apparently the lack of action. Okay, Gotham Knights developer WB Montreal, Wonder Woman Studios Monolith Productions telling Schreier that they also felt stuck in limbo as they waited for decisions from Haddad and his team. The executives in Burbank also felt that pressure to avoid making big calls in the time because the entire organization was beset on uncertainty, wrote Schreier shortly after Haddad started the division's partner company was purchased by telecom giant AT&T. Now, triggering the lengthy antitrust trial, it was long before they spun into the merger discovers the corporation shakeup, left heads spinning and generated constant buzz about the video game division might be for sale. In offering an example, Haddad's scattered leadership during the era of employees associated with WB Games Montreal recalled them executive team and led to the VP of productions of Ben Bell were initially enthused by the following of the end up in support of Gotham Knights. The studio approached them as the idea for the game based in DC resident magical bastard John Constantine. Okay, so they turned that down because the guy probably never watched movies, didn't know who John Constantine was. He was just like, yeah, that sounds boring, so I'm just not going to make it. However, rather than working swiftly to establish a game's budget, development timeline, and overall scope, said executive team reportedly spent months dodging the issue. And when they did finally get into contact, Bell threw WB Games Montreal a curveball by instead suggesting that they should focus more on recognizable characters. Despite months and waste of time in the studio, it was doing a pivoting of Constantine to either Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, Though sadly, thanks to the failure of Heroes Ezra Miller's solo film, the game eventually got canceled as well. Again, I don't know why, because a movie failed, that you can't take, like, Flash is a very successful character in the comics. Television show ran on CW for what, 9 years, 10 years, right? It's kind of weird. Ward, thank you very much for becoming a member. Right? Putting a stamp on Schreier's recap situation at the time, former head of WB Games Montreal, Martin Carey, admitted to the reporter there has been a lot going on politically, and within the organization at the time, the focus of the game was perhaps lost a little bit. Even so, Schreier additionally reports that over the past 2 years, most Montreal leaderships have recognized, not just because of the lack of new games, but also due to frustration with the corporate bosses, according to people familiar with the events. So notably, Schreier allegedly had reached out to Haddad before publishing his article. An executive ultimately declined to offer a comment on his content. Okay. However, while the man himself may not have spoken to Schreier about the studio's current status, WB Developers head of games global streaming JB Peretti did, although avoid making any specific mentions of his colleague's name, he could not help admit that the entire division was currently in a bad way. He says, quote, we'll get right back to the profitability in 2025, Peretti said. We also are back to profitability when we want to back in the next 2 to 3 years. It'll take 2 or 3 years to rebuild, reset levels, and we want to be at, and to bounce back immediately as far as going from a loss-making profitability. So what they could have done to be profitable is not close multiverses, right? Multiverses could have been a subsidy where they could have made more money from that by putting more time into the actual game, right? I think EA made the same problem with Anthem. I think if they put more time into Anthem, Anthem could have been a really big game for them. I think WB right now is making a big mistake by closing down multiverses. I think if they rework multiverses, they could have a really big game on their hands. But instead, you know what they're going to do? I'm going to make a prediction. You guys ready for this? Let me make my prediction. Okay, my prediction is, yes, they are going to make, WB is going to see what's happening with Marvel Rivals, and WB is going to go, why don't we do that? Why don't we make a hero shooter, but in the DC universe? And the problem is, they're not going to know what the hell to do. They're going to make a worse version of this. Okay, they have things that they can put money into and make it actually a better game. Multiverses, they can keep, even though they're still supporting DC Universe Online, why not make a updated version, right? Yes, they updated to better graphics or whatnot, but why don't you make a better online DC Universe type of game? Why don't you make another is it Justice League? Yeah, Injustice. Okay, why don't you make another one of those games? Why don't you make other games that are profitable with big name characters instead of going to the same pot all the time? Batman. Okay, like, yes, Montreal is going back to making a Batman game. Congratulations. Or Rocksteady is going back to making another Batman game, right? So you're going to get that Batman game, and hopefully it comes out and it's actually a good Batman game. But where's the Flash? Where's Wonder Woman? Right? Where's Superman? Where are all these other characters that you could make or do? Why isn't there a Justice League game? I don't know. Why is someone that's in charge? And again, I'm not saying the CEO of the company needs to know video games, but if you want a finance guy, you might want a person that knows finances. If you want someone to know technology, you might want to know someone that has technology experience. I'm just saying, right? People make fun of Phil Spencer, but Phil Spencer plays fucking games. Plays games all the time. When he's not in a meeting, he's playing games. When he's on an airplane, he's playing games. He knows video games, right? And everyone makes fun of Phil Spencer because, you know, Microsoft doesn't have consoles or whatnot, but they're more profitable than they've ever been. And he turned the company around from what it was when they tried to make set-top boxes. Again, the guy who runs the company, okay, he's playing video games. Imagine running a game division, and the guy running the game division knows about video games. Crazy. I know, right? Here's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think WB developers have to do to bring back WB gaming, right? What would you like to see? What type of games would you like to see? Do you think they're going to come out with a Marvel Rivals rival, but in the DC universe? Let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know in the live chat. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Phil's not a genius, but he's grounded and gets gaming. Yeah, because he's a gamer. Yeah, he's a gamer. All right, let me go scroll back up here. Jason says, you're the only person who thinks that Travis remind me again which one is getting a remake and which one is never been talked about again. Travis says, my prediction is WB is going to cancel Wonder Woman because they can't come up with a plot. Sarge says, someone explain to them, explain Anthem to me. If I get Anthem right now, is it complete game and does it have an ending? It does have an ending as far as the story. The end game is unfinished, and there's still weapons not for every character. Like a legendary set, I don't believe. I don't think they ever finished the Colossus. I could be wrong. They might have did an update and they put it in the game. But you can get it and play a story. You can 100% play through the campaign. Robert Jones says the next there's a rumor that the next Batman game is or the next game is Batman Beyond. That'd be cool. I just think it's weird that they keep going back to the same pot, right? Like, let's look up how many characters are in DC, right? All right, this is just a real quick overlook, right? Got Aquaman. I don't think really people want to play an Aquaman game, but they can. I mean, people played Echo the Dolphin back in the day, okay? I think they could make something with Aquaman. Got Batman. Superman would be hard, but we've talked about Superman before. Okay, you can make a good Superman game. Okay. Green Arrow? I think Travis said the other day you can make basically the Green Arrow game is already made. Okay. Wonder Woman. Green Lantern, Catwoman, Cyborg, The Flash, Martian Manhunter, Dr. Fate. Right? You could make the Justice League game, which Suicide Squad could have been. Okay? Right? You can make a bunch of different things, but they refuse to do any of them. Which just shows you they don't know what they have. If you don't want to make individual games for these, you can make a big, like a Marvel's rival, not a Marvel Rivals, Ultimate Alliance type of game with DC. When Phil's in his meetings, he's on Game Pass or he's on games. Yeah, he's constantly playing games. He understands what it is. You're probably playing with a different girl. What are you guys talking about? Oh, Mo says, also the kid in the class who also you can you hear playing a game while there's also a meeting going on. Hey, Phil, you pay attention, please? Yeah, exactly. Leave Echo Dolphin alone. I didn't make fun of it. I'm saying if Echo the Dolphin exists, you can make an Aquaman game. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Quintar. Travis says Green Arrow game is simple, but good. God forbid y'all make a good people want. Yeah, make a game what people want. It's crazy. I would play a Green Arrow game, like a stealthy, action-packed adventure game. Why not? All right, settle down, Mo. Anthem's amazing. Settle down. Settle down.
Stop it. Get some help.
Anthem's not amazing. It's good at best, okay? You can like it, but it's not amazing. See what you've done, Mo? See what you've done, Mo? You and Travis are on the same page. Oh, that would be good, Jones. A VR Green Arrow? this would get a little tiring. Out in front. Be cool though. I would play it. Sarge says Echo the Dolphin was a good game. That's why I brought up if Echo the Dolphin could make it, they could make an Aquaman game. That's what I'm talking about. Altern says a Green Lantern game could also be good. You can make it co-op, yeah. Yeah. Amazingly dead, Jason says. Amazingly dead. Sarge says Anthem is functional. Travis says 30 hates Dolphins confirmed. That's not anything I said. I said if Echo the Dolphin was a game, you can make an Aquaman game. How is that saying Dolphins are bad? Would have been if they completed it, and there was a number of end game items that wouldn't drop. Yet, if you were a Colossus character, you could not get a full set of legendary gear. You know why? It wasn't because the drop rates were bad. It's because they weren't in the game. They weren't in the game. They released the game, and then I think it was 12 months later, still didn't have end game gear in the game for the game that they created. I mained all of them, Travis. I played that game for so long. I had all my characters maxed out except my Colossus because they didn't have it in the game. Sarge says, what about a Justice League open world game with missions that allow you to pick who to send on the mission? Co-op. Come on, people. Yeah. Amazing. What other IPs? Let's look at all the IPs WB owns. Right, because we were just looking at DC, right? Now you got to look at the actual IPs they own, which is they own DC, Looney Tunes. Where are the Looney Tune games? Where are those games at? Okay, Harry Potter. Okay, make a Harry Potter adventure. Make another spin-off of. I mean, obviously they're making Hogwarts Legacy, but it's not Harry Potter himself, right? The MonsterVerse, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Tom and Jerry, Scooby-Doo, Willy Wonka, Middle Earth. Like, what are they doing? This guy sat on all these IPs like, I just don't get it. I see my grandkids playing it. I just don't understand what they're doing. They're playing with this thing over here and doing this little thing. You know, I just don't get it. I just want to make money. Yeah, well, you got to make games. Ding dong. Mike, if they would have let them do 2.0, it would have been amazing. Stop. You said Anthem was amazing. But if you let them do 2.0, it would have been amazing. Well, then it would have been the same shitty game, huh? Because if you think the first game was amazing, and they would have made it amazing, the first game was shit. And if they made it still amazing, it would still be shit. The best thing they could have done with the Anthem is close it down. Because they weren't going to do anything with it. Hence why they cut their losses and closed it down. Quintard says if they would have made a Suicide Squad non-live service game instead of making a true game, not a cash cow attempt. Yeah, but I guess because they made it a live service game is why they were using the guns and stuff they used, right? I think it could have been really cool if, I don't know, Captain Boomerang uses actual boomerang. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. The reason they used the guns was because of the live service. Altern says, stop giving them ideas, 30. Shut up and take your 13 Brainiac boss fights. Did Scooby-Doo game ever game for the Super Nintendo? Was so good. Oh, I remember that. Mo says also Outriders is amazing as well as the DLC was great. Oh yeah, Outriders was great. Outriders was fun. Outriders was not Anthem though. How imaginative could you you make Green Lantern game? How many different animations of powers could you come up with? Imagine an AI asset in the game where you can type in an idea and the AI makes it. Ooh, well, that I don't have that story up here, but they're talking about making AI replace people, Sarge. Make it easier for backwards compatibility is what they're saying. Wintar says some people just want topics on their turns. This tastes like shit. There's some sprinkles on it. This shit still tastes like shit, but it's colorful now. Altern says, damn, we need Outriders 2. Did Square Enix ever pay the devs? Well, People Can Fly have a contract now with Xbox. I don't know if Square Enix ever paid them, but People Can Fly are making a game now with Xbox. Outriders 2, and they might also come out now. They're owned by Take-Two. Well, People Can Fly is in contract right now with Xbox. Jason says, remember all those MCU games back then on the PlayStation 3 and 360? Oh, yeah. Listen, Mike, I'm going off what it could have been. Oh, well, I could have been a baseball superstar, but here we are. Here we are. Here we are. I'll be playing this weekend, probably, El Nini. So if you see me on, you wanna jump on. Let's see. Monday we're probably jumping back in Avowed. Monday and Tuesday we'll probably jump back in Avowed. I might have random streams this weekend just with Avowed as well. I want to get through it like instead of like one day a week type of thing. Stealth Gaming says Christopher Barrett versus Sony is getting interesting. I saw some stuff what you guys posted, and yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Woes says Anthem is the greatest game that never was. No, that to me is Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers is the greatest game that never was. Yeah, that's my amazing game. Buddha Papa says 30. I'm having fun with Avowed. Just sprinted and jumped off a rock while using a heavy strike. Brain bashed a guy into the ground. Nice. I like the combat in that game. It's fun. Okay. There's another story. Ex-PlayStation executive says studios aren't forced into live service stuff. They just feel it gives them a better chance to get into project approved and supported. So they're forced. That just makes them feel like they have an option, doesn't it? Just based off of that. It's like ex-PlayStation executive says studios aren't forced into live service stuff. They're just, feel it gives them a better chance to get the projection approved and supported. Yeah, you're forced. Hey, will you make this game for us? Well, we really don't want to make this game, but if you make it live service, we'll make the game for you. And they're like, all right, I guess we'll make a live service game. We're not being forced, but we're being forced. Okay. You guys like what we do here? We do this Monday through Thursday. Talk about news stories, have conversations. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. All right, so ex-PlayStation executive says studios aren't forced into live service stuff. They just, feel it gives them a better chance of getting a project approved and supported. All right, so it's okay. Everyone, former PlayStation executive Yoshida, which we just talked about in the other article, has said that his knowledge of none of the first-party studios under the console makers' command have been forced into making live service games. They're more likely just to choose to get on board with the big incentive for small reasons of thinking to give them a better chance of having the project actually be picked up and supported. Yeah, exactly what I just said, right? So Suicide Squad's like, hey, we want to make a Suicide Squad game. They're like, we'll let you make a Suicide Squad game as long as you make it live service. They're like, all right, then I guess we're making it live service, right? So the soon-to-be voiced Duck mascot said that the stuff in the interview, guard symbols, thanks to push squares, interesting to be fair, and just kind of thing that you would expect someone who's been a boss, a big company like this to say. Because after saying this a bit about the studios, not about being forced into doing live service things, Yoshida outlined, from my experience, when studios see the company has a big initiative, they realize that riding on that gives them a better chance of getting a project approved and supported. Well, obviously, hey, I have an idea for a game. I'm going to pitch it to you. And if I pitch it to you, they're like, well, we like it, but it would be better if it's live service. And you're like, well, I guess we're making it live service. I mean, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's not like that. Current PlayStation Studio boss Herman Holtz is telling teams they need to make it live service games. He continued. It's the same. Holtz is just coming out and saying, right? He's skipping the bullshit part, right? Before it's, hey, I want to make a game. They're like, well, we don't want to make it unless it's live service. Your choice, though. They're like, all right, we'll make it live service. Holtz is saying, you got to make this live service. And they're like, okay. It's the same thing. You don't have a choice. You want to make a game? Make it live service. If you don't want to make a game, then we're not picking it up. That's it. So while you can't say it's not technically right, it does seem like Yoshida is dipping into the corporate speak here. After all, you're suggesting that the studios are seeing the boss get really into certain things and concluding that just going along with it to impact their chances of not ending up with the kind of perilous limbo we hear about studios who also end up having multiple pitches rejected, having to deal with. Surely there's not the healthiest thing in the world of the company and something executives should be trying to mitigate. Okay? Like there's two things. One guy comes in the office. One guy comes in the office. I'm dying here, guys. Hold on one second. Two guys come in the office. One has a live service game. The other doesn't have a live service game. This non-live service game is a better game. But the live service game is what they're more interested in. So which one do you think they're going to pick? But then the guy that has the better game says, hey, we'll make our game live service. And if they make that game live service, okay, well then that's what happens. It becomes a live service, which is what Gotham Knights was. Then it became not. That's what Suicide Squad was. Okay, they turned it into a live service because it would be better to be made, or it wouldn't have been made at all. So which one's better? Not being made at all, or made a game that's shit because it's live service? Okay, he says, I know it's a bit idealistic, but surely companies like PlayStation should be aiming to foster an environment in which the flagship studios feel that they got trust of the higher-ups and can pitch whatever they feel based on the experience in the right game for the etiquette talents or unique talents and can fit in the market best. You know, rather than everyone getting swept up in the company's wide bandwagon and crowding up the space, which in case of live service stuff prior, PlayStation largely ill-fated big push has already been pretty tough to break into the score big hits. Okay, now if you look at the two mindsets, Phil Spencer is not pushing people to make live service games. That's why you're getting games like South of Midnight. That's why you're getting games like Avowed, right? There's not these have to be live service where PlayStation is looking to make more income, right? Xbox has that other income. If it's with the Game Pass subscriptions, if it's with their other businesses within Microsoft itself, right? Sony doesn't have that. So Sony has to make live service games because they need to make that income. Okay. He says, I don't know, to be fair, I've not spent the past 30 years or so playing a big role in leading one of the biggest companies in gaming. Plus, to be fair, Yoshida doesn't appear to be saying that it's a good thing necessarily, but pointing out that it happens. He also said, in regards of live service projects, PlayStation recently canned. Yeah, it sucks. So there you go. Right? So he says that he didn't force people, but they wouldn't have really looked at it unless it's live service. And Herman Holtz came out and said, no, it needs to be live service. Two sides, same coin. Same exact thing. Look, I think it's bad if you take a game that wasn't supposed to be a live service and force it to be live service. You can see the elements. Marvel's Avengers was like this, right? Gotham Knights was like this, but then they turned it out the other direction. They turned it around. You see, the fundamental parts of the game are broke because you make it a live service game. Like, mechanic in the game, you're like, well, why am I doing this? Well, you're doing this because it's grinding. If it's grinding, you can do this, or you get the battle pass. And if you get the battle pass, well, then you can purchase this, or you can play 15 hours of this, right? Instead of just making a game. Starfield came out, not a live service game, just a game. But you can buy stuff in the store, so it's the best of both worlds, right? South of Midnight's coming out. Not a live service game. It's just a one and done type of game. It's going to go on Game Pass type of stuff, right? And this is what we're talking about. You look at Redfall. Redfall was at one point a different game than it was when it came out, and it was just completely fucking broke because they didn't want to make it. The company didn't want to make it. Okay, but forcing people to make a game. Okay, forcing people to make a game. How am I putting this? Forcing people to make a game that they want to make, but in your vision, not their vision, which is you need to have whatever you're making, just make it a live service. Put some sort of live service in that game. Okay. And the other mentality is what Game Pass games are. There's games that are live service games on Game Pass, and there's games that are not live service on Game Pass, right? So Minecraft Dungeons, which I brought up earlier, is a game that's on Game Pass because you don't have to buy the main game, but you buy all the DLCs if you like that game, and you're paying a $20 for Ultimate Edition, or $10 or $12. So like that, or Forza 5, right? You don't have to buy Forza 5, but you can play Forza, and then they have continuously seasons after seasons if you want to keep playing, or you can just keep playing. It's an open world game and constantly just keep playing the game. Sea of Thieves, right? You can pay it for $40, or you can play it just on Game Pass, and there's Emporium on there, but the game itself is not a live service game as far as where you have to keep paying or anything like that. It's just keep you there longer. The mentality of Microsoft is make games longer, or make games where they're open-ended, where you can keep continuously playing on Game Pass and come back because we have a new season, okay, is the way that they're doing their business model. Sony is not doing that with PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus is more of like a backwards catalog of there's our old games on there. We put some new games on there, but for the most part, they're not doing date and date, okay? And they're not really using it to its full potential. What they're doing, sort of now, they're putting the live service games where they did the deal with Foam Stars. The very first month of Foam Stars, they were giving it anyone. They were giving them the game on PlayStation Plus because they thought that if people were playing it on PlayStation Plus, they might pick up some microtransactions. That right there is what Game Pass is doing with their games, with either DLCs, microtransactions, season passes, whatever it is, right? That's what they're trying to do. Sony needs to be more productive as far as this is why they're putting their games on PC. This is why they're putting their games in more live service. This is why they're putting 60% of their games towards live service games, because they need that extra income to start to withstand where the industry is going. And if they don't do this, they're going to be the ones hurting, not Microsoft, because Microsoft is Microsoft, not Xbox. Okay, Microsoft is this conglomerate company that's worth $1 trillion, and Sony is this billion-dollar company that has this division inside there. And if they want to stay within the industry, they got to throw more money at it. They got to make more money. Well, if their player base is at that limit of 100 million units sold for PlayStation consoles, or 120 million units, they need to push out to PC. They need to push out to the web. They need to push out to cloud gaming. They need to push out to all these things so they can start making more money, right? But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other movies, or check out some other movies, other videos. Thanks for watching. I saw I read your thing, Roadkill, and I saw movies. It says you get a lot of badass free movies with PlayStation Plus. Yeah, but they're not using that. I don't think they're using PlayStation Plus to their full potential, what they could use it for. All right, let's scroll back up here. Ford says, Avowed is fun. Just killed the mad bear last night. Is that the one that's in the cave system? We fought it. We died the first time, and then I beat him the second time. Live service? Get the fuck out of here. Bring back Jim Ryan, Jason says. Star says, just a word salad all day long. Get the point. Shut the fuck up. And they are not the writers. They eat just underachievers using AI. Roadkill says, has Xbox ever even made money, or is it just always Microsoft supporting Xbox? Yeah, no, Game Pass is profitable. Yeah, Game Pass is profitable. But I would say Microsoft does throw money at a lot of different parts of it, right? Robert Jones says, do you have to meet the DEI goals at work, but it's also part of your bonus? You aren't forced. Right, same exact thing. Right? Well, you don't got to do that, but we'll give you that promotion if you do. Bart says, honestly, Roadkill, I think before Game Pass, they were not making enough as far as profit margins, but because of Game Pass, Microsoft gave Phil more time to try his plan. Yeah, they're profitable. Game Pass is profitable. Jason Marshall says, definitely weren't making enough money during the Xbox One era. Correct. And this is why they went towards Game Pass. See, the problem that we all look at with the market of the industry is that we look at Game Pass and say they're not making enough money. But we're also looking at it, a lot of people look at it as console is king. If you have a console, you sell the console, then you sell the software for the console. Well, they said, we're just going to sell the software. We don't really care about the hardware, which I don't know why people are surprised by this, because Microsoft made their trillions of dollars because of software, not because of hardware. Right? Apple went the hardware route. Microsoft went the software route. Well, they're both successful, right? They're both here 30 years later, 40 years later. The difference is that Microsoft went software, and now they're doing software again with video games, which makes sense. Travis says, you know what I think is right? I think they could have had a V8 maybe. And this is what all these devs need. Just need a good V8. You're talking about the fucking tomato juice? Is that what you're talking about, Travis? Jack says that at this point, given up on Sony, doesn't know what they're doing. I'd rather play games in PlayStation Plus than their free monthly games, and PlayStation Plus Premium sucks. Clip says, what the movies I get are badass. I can't watch any of the Spider-Man like I want. Roadkill says there's tons of movies on PlayStation Plus, premium, tons of horror movies, IMAX movies. I like horror movies, and they also really only type movies I watch. Well, they have that Crunchyroll now. Isn't that part of PlayStation Plus? All the anime stuff they're putting in, is that not part of PlayStation Plus, or is that completely something different? What is the Game Pass profits? I'm not sure. I forget what it was. Someone posted it in the Discord a couple months ago. Crowd says, Mike, a little bit off topic. GPUs have skyrocketed in price. People are saying it's because it's possible tariffs. How will this affect the PlayStation 6? Talking about the graphic. Well, look, the tariffs only apply if they're built out of country, right? If they start building them in country, they'll save the money on that. Okay, sort of like we'll make your game for you if you make it live service. You're like, well, pay the tariffs. I don't want to get like in political type stuff here, but if one place is charging us tariffs and we just match their tariffs, that seems pretty fair to me, right? I mean, again, the tariffs for PlayStation 6 or for anything else, if you go this route, I said this weeks and months ago, if the prices of video games go up without tariffs, just if it's an $80 video game or a $100 video game or an $800 system, who do you think is going to win this in the long run? Microsoft's going to win because you don't have to buy an Xbox to play their games. You can buy a TV, a dongle, a laptop, whatever, right? They're not selling the hardware anymore. So that just throws people in their arms more the higher the prices go. So if Xbox tariffs are going to get affected, PlayStation 6 is going to get affected, where do you think more people are going to go? They're going to go to GeForce Now. They're going to go to Game Pass. They're going to go to Ubisoft Plus. They're going to go to EA Play, because that's what they would do. It would drive them towards buying subscription. Let's see. It's a completely separate sub for Crunchyroll. Well, see that they need to change that. They want their numbers to go up. They should change that. Kudapapas is 30. If you look at the assets and more, Microsoft has always been worth more than Apple. Right, but my point though, Kudapapa, is that not in the gaming space, but just in the computer space, one went software, the other one went hardware. They both became billion-dollar companies, right? Now you look at the gaming aspects. You know, Sony is hardware, Xbox is going software. They're still going to be both successful. PlayStation Plus Premium's better than Game Pass. Is it, though? As far as, well, I mean, each their own, Roadkill. I guess if you're a gamer, is PlayStation Plus better or is Game Pass Ultimate better? You get games day and date on Xbox. You don't get day and date on PlayStation. So if you're a person that likes to play the new games, then it wouldn't be better. Again, like I said, each their own, I guess. Jason says, Sarge, do they have to pay the devs to put their stuff on a monthly, or is it a one-time fee before it goes on the server? I don't think they charge anything if it's a studio that they run. If it's a third-party developer, they probably put that in the price, I would assume, or their share or their portion that they take. Rookle says they have to work around the tariffs. They also have different countries, and they also think they ship them out of, or wherever they work around that shit. Yeah. So, like, if there's a tariff for China, they'll ship them down to somewhere else and then ship them from there. And it might cost them less. Plus, did you see that the president listed off all the people still collecting Social Security? Yeah, there's like 200 people that are like 200 years old. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. The entire reason they don't build in America is because it's too expensive, dude. Correct. But the reason it's expensive, that would come down because if they came in, right? So what would be better, right? So do they make their stuff and then bring it in and then charge more money? Or do they bring their stuff in and then they make more money, right? So it all depends on what they want to do. There's always been a tariff. This is what I don't understand. They just weren't as what he's doing now. He's not the first president to add tariffs. Game Pass Ultimate's way better. I'm just trying to think, like, if I want to play new games, PlayStation Plus doesn't do that. Game Pass does. Right. Game Pass is better for gamers. That's what I'm thinking. PlayStation Plus has way more third-party games than Game Pass. Sure, and that's what I'm saying. Each their own. So, like, if you're a person that wants to play a lot of older games or third-party games, then you can go to PlayStation Plus. But if you're looking for those new games to come out, then Game Pass would be the one for you. Wintar says people forget that tariffs made the U.S. Robert Jones says it's not expensive to build in America. Companies were just allowed to be cheap and export labor. I'm just messing with you. Game Pass is better. I mean, you get all these brand new games. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if you're a person that likes old games, I know a lot of people that play old games. They don't even like new games. So PlayStation Plus could be a better alternative for them. What time is it? 12 o'clock? All right, let me see. There was a video I wanted to watch. I can remember. I marked it. Oh, here's the release date trailer for Dune. Watch that real fast.
Few survive this world. But those who do awaken. The desert wants you dead, off-worlder. If the sands don't take you, the storms will swallow you whole. But you don't have to walk this path alone. In every danger, there is opportunity. The foundation of something greater. A power waiting to be harnessed. Desert power. Some claim to rule this planet. But Arrakis is yours to explore. To fight for. To conquer.
Combat looks stiff. Still.
But there are forces beyond even your control. Master Arrakis, and it will open your mind. This is your path to awakening.
This shit's not coming out until next year for console. So May 20th it comes out. I'm not going to be able to play this on my PC. Okay? There's no way. It'll run like shit. But May 20th for PC, and then PlayStation and Xbox release date to be announced. That's probably coming out next year, I would say. Easily next year. I don't think it's coming out this year. Yeah, I don't think it's coming out to console this year. All right, let's see what's on Twitter here. The search to find a positive Ubisoft headline continues. Assassin's Creed Shadows faces actions from Japanese officials from the Shrine Destruction. Okay. Starfield's still making updates. Maroon Ship Habitats 2. Oh, Sea of Thieves. Dustin posted something for Sea of Thieves earlier. Let's watch that for a second. Are you actually going to be able to kill the white shark? to play this, Sarge, on a Wednesday night. Show shit. And show me nothing. The people that saw the white ghost, which is a white shark, is like nobody. Nobody. No one's ever seen it. Tomorrow, the new two characters, Human Torch and Thing come in. It's gonna be fun to play. They look great. What are these? Oh, it's Spider-Man 2. New Marvel Legends of Marvel Spider-Man 1 and 2 are coming. Like toy figurines. Those of you that are interested in stuff like this. That Spider-Man doesn't look good. Fortnite season drops tomorrow. That's correct. My son constantly tells me about it. Oh, I found... Here's a funny story. So my son, because I'm doing all this AI music and stuff, my son doesn't... He's a procrastinator, right? He's a procrastinator, and he doesn't pick up after himself sometimes. So I made a song about it. And I told him, I said, every time you don't do what I tell you, I'm going to play the song. And he was so upset. He was so upset. Like, that's not nice. That's not nice. I said, well, if you don't want to hear it, I said, then you need to pick up after yourself. GTA 5 PC players finally get a PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series features 3 years later. What is that? Well, maybe we'll talk about that later tonight. Oh, Stealth, you posted it. I think it's the same thing. We'll do that anyway. It's exactly right, Ford. Wrote a song about it. Want to hear it? Here we go. Early access, launch day stream for 2K25, PGA. IGN gave it an 8. Might have to make a new song. Giving out a lot of 8s lately. Oh, I know what I want to watch. I want to watch ACG's video. I want to watch ACG's video of Roadcrafters. That's what I want to watch.
trending scene. We're scrolling through the world on this glowing screen. So sit back, relax, let the feed take control. It's the perfect companion to the morning scroll.
What the hell is it? I'll just go.
Roadcraft is an upcoming construction simulation game developed by Saber Interactive, and it's published by Focus, set to release on May 20th. It's coming out for the PlayStation 5, Xbox, PC, and it brings players into the driver's seat of what is basically a disaster recovery company tasked with rebuilding all these areas devastated by natural disasters. Price-wise, this is $40 for the normal version and $50 for an edition that comes with the DLC free whenever it comes out. Oh, and you get a car. Now, first up, obviously, this isn't SnowRunners or Mud Runner. This is its own game that doesn't even carry the subtitle at all, and there's a reason. Where SnowRunner was a treatise on managing simulated resources in the form of just how many times you could barrel roll your Jeep Wisconsin down a canyon side without it being considered totally unrecoverable, Mud Runner was a deep sim about going to and fro, about delivering needed supplies to unwanted locations in the Siberian backlands. Roadcraft, then, is a logistics and disaster simulator light with aspects of the prior games merged into a resource management simulator. So if you're a fan of those and you're wanting an exact sequel, don't look here, because it's not that. What it is a unique combination of all those plus its own ideas.
So it's not SnowRunners. They got different mechanics and stuff. Expedition did something like that. I didn't like the exploration of Expedition. They missed a lot of stuff in Expedition.
As the person in charge of recovery station, consistently going out and doing repairs after massive emergencies, you're not only going to be handling the driving, but also the business side of it. Speaking of business, I've got a ton of reviews coming up, as well as some exclusives for some titles that maybe you haven't even heard of. Subscribe and you'll get more. I appreciate it. So, first up, it is apparently much harder to run a disaster recovery company than I thought. In Roadcraft, I was thrown into the thick of things as the head
That's a little deep there. I don't think you're going to get out of that one.
Operations tasked with restoring different services to areas damaged by storms and floods, because I can only assume a god here played a shit ton of SimCity and kept turning the disaster mods on. For me, the time spent with the preview code supplied by Focus was indeed focused on 3 distinct locations with varying problems on each, and I had to take out my assembled team of questionable vehicles with even more questionable names and try to repair it. And by questionable names, I mean rusted cable layer, which doesn't sound friggin' safe at all. In the full game, it's supposed to have about 40 vehicles total, but I can assume there's going to be some overlap in usage. Of course, that could also be a sign of how I tried to run things during this preview. After leaping in, I was offered those locations, and I chose the first tutorial area. It was mud and trees and deceptively...
There's a demo for this coming out on the 24th this month.
Deep swampy areas with some creeks mixed in. That being said, I decided scouting was really step 1 in these areas, and step 2 in others, it just depends on if there's already some recovery vehicles there. The game had me out there using that scout vehicle to plow through those areas and line up travel routes for larger vehicles that handle like a cow beefed up for slaughter that also took all the Paxel. And I am serious, I have a newfound respect for someone who tries to take an erratically tracked vehicle down a slope with offset weight, because the driver, that's me, also wanted to keep a hold of a tree so that they could cut it and strip it closer to where the semi was going to pick it up. Clearing spots or making travel possible is one of the major nightmares here that you're going to face. You have bulldozers, cranes, cable layers, dump trucks, excavators, pavers, and more and more. And getting vehicles from location A to B is usually done by traveling through locations FUCKE.
I wonder if you need to have, I guess, the money to like to build the roads. You know what I mean? Like, is there like a logistics type of thing as far as the money you have to buy the supplies to then make the roads safe?
E&D. You can use vehicles to clear the way and also recycle almost everything in the game world. This is done with a handy color-coded system with items in the game that are shaded slightly to reflect which recycling center that they can be taken to, which gives you items. Recycling what I could by using a crane to load up some trucks was easy enough with a click and enter system that the game has. Using the map to identify which vehicle I wanted to go into, hitting a button, and boom, you're in there, all with no loading. Now, if I can do a job with the minimum steps, I'm going to try that. But one thing I learned with Roadcraft after 10 plus hours is that a game like this is notoriously painful when you overestimate your own ability, which I seem to do. For example, I can trounce across a couple small creeks and even power my tracked vehicles through a flooded out trailer park if I wanted to, as with games prior. If you're not aware of the exact depth of a spot because you haven't gone there with the scout, you can flood the vehicle, and boom, that's time lost as it's recovered. It's
Yeah,
at this point
that's always been in the games though.
we're trying to decide if you use sand from a sand lot dumped into a series of strategically placed spots is the smart move to get other vehicles somewhere. Because I can also have a grader come and level it out. I can have a paver pour asphalt on it, and then a roller go around and smooth that and
Okay.
make it a trip that's safer for some of the larger vehicles. But that takes time. Then, just as I got everything to a spot, I realized, oh shit, I need to actually also run electricity to that location, which is damn near impossible without a ton of prep, because the cable layer is the equivalent of your laziest best friend. The guy that just puts a shirt on to do a Zoom call and suspiciously won't stand up to answer the door in the middle of it. It's fat, it's lazy, and it barely controls and gets stuck on almost everything. So I decided to clear out some space for that. I would leap into the bulldozer and chipper shredder and pull some stumps out and try to make a track for that power supply to be delivered to the concrete mixer. I really enjoyed the flexibility here of me deciding how I was going to go about it, the risk versus reward, and really just making sure the resources.
I like that. If look, you could take it and make it the hard route where you're going through the trees, or you get the machine, you rip out the trees, you rip out the stumps, then lay the pipe, right? Lay the wire. Right? Either way, it's time consuming.
Get to where they're supposed to in the best way possible. But the name isn't fooling you. It has the ability to
Someone's gonna make the lay the pipe joke now, aren't you?
create roads, which initially I didn't know
Giggity.
exactly how much I would enjoy,
Come on, Luke.
especially when it comes to putting a bridge over a creek. I found myself realizing that there were quicker ways to get to spot A and B, and those quick ways might work for a scout kind of vehicle where assuredly you can see exactly the depth of things and control it easier, but it's not going to work for a tree cutter or, as I said earlier, that pipe layer. And that diversity and specific requirements for each vehicle, and to get
Why
them
would
to
you
a spot where they
go
can
over that
actually
small
work
bridge with a
correctly
giant
is
truck?
pretty vital here, with the end result always being trying to do those repairs and trying to get those vehicles to those spots in as much efficiency as possible. I found that the gameplay loop changed a bit as I continued through the different maps. And exploring those maps with the scout, that's going to be the feeling of the DNA that's combined with all these games. That's going to be very solidly in your bailiwick if you played those prior titles. And you're going to feel like, okay, I am eminently familiar with this. You can also use the AI to do some stuff. Like,
That's gonna be your biggest friend, the bulldozer. Right? The bulldozer is gonna be your friend for everything, because you gotta clear out the path, the rocks, whatever else. Make sure the path is clear. And only then, right? So scout first, bulldozer second.
plot a course, grade a road, and so forth. And surprisingly, the AI
Luke says you get certification after 100 hours.
isn't terrible. It's not extraordinary either. So planning is still paramount. Planning, I admit, I didn't do in some cases. So that might not be the AI. I mean, the only comparison I really have is road crews up past at 3 a.m. on some freeway, and my last experience with the paver in this game, which ended up in that POS upside down on the opposite side of the hill I wanted it. But there are some things missing, and I want to talk about that, because as the first few hours went through, my ideas of what this game is changed. It's a different beast. There isn't a fuel gauge in this game. You don't have a
No fuel gauge. All right, so in SnowRunners, that was one of the things you had to have. You had to plan out your routes and make sure you could find fuel. And if you couldn't find fuel through your routes, then you would have to buy fuel tanks, drop them off at certain locations, then have a fuel truck fill them up when they got low. But you would have that like process already. If there's no gas, kind of weird during a simulator game, right?
gear shift in the style of the prior games. This is a high-low differential kind of thing. It also
They made it basically automatic.
doesn't have a tire pressure system that I could see. It's not Mud Runner, where they're exploratory games, harkening back to my childhood of going 4x4 in the backyard, terracing down a muddy road, and consistently challenging gravity and my good logics. Roadcraft is exactly what it says. It's crafting transportation, roads, and repairing things. The ability to get recovery crews to places they shouldn't. Would the game be better with a hard mode where you could control
Yes. Yes, it would be.
things like gasoline and tire pressure? I strongly feel like it would. But at the same time, you are playing a character whose delivery and recovery and repairs are hired for by outside groups, so I assume you probably
They
at
could add
least
it
have
later.
gas. That's not really me explaining things away. It's just saying I sort of get where they're going with on this one. The game also, when it comes to graphics, is a step up. This is a new engine, which generically I think they call like default engine or something like that. Even as a fan of SnowRunner and its kind, I think this engine does an impressive job replicating zones after floods or other natural disasters. Lighting and in particular texture detail and debris detail are overall very good.
It looks really good.
Roadcraft does offer something different in that way. It's not necessarily the desolate locations that we may have seen in the prior titles. It's sort of a middle ground. Also, jumping into some vehicles we haven't seen before is awesome. Massive cranes with the ability to put vehicles in the back of other trucks and just different things that we haven't seen before. While there's always going to be idiosyncrasies and caveats made for accuracy, though. But it never stopped getting fun watching a truck sink to the bottom of an explorer's trench that you just thought you could dive through at full speed, and it continues to look great in all those ways. I love the shift of water and ruts and just how all of that merges together. Luckily, at least so far, when you jump from vehicle to vehicle, and performance was
I feel like he's just purposely diving into these things just to get footage.
very good, even on a 2080 and a 3080 at 1080p and 1440p resolutions respectively. There's also DLSS and FSR for upscaling. When it comes to the sound and the effects there, I thought the sound was fine. You can hear the sound of a vehicle smash up. You can hear the gears grinding. You can hear the tires hit different rocks. This is a sound system and sound samples that many times we're probably getting some asset reuse. And I'm fine with that kind of thing. At some point, you listen to a sound effect and you say, you know what, this is one of the better replications of this particular sound. We might as well use it. Trudging up some rock or some hill is not only visually being identified on where you are, but you could listen to the sound and understand that moment that one of the tires ends up slipping. When it comes to music, there wasn't a great deal. I didn't listen to most of it because
You just put your own music on. Put your own music on.
I was trying to really hear the different sound effects of the cars and understand exactly what it was trying to deliver when it comes to the sound. Fun factor though, this is just a preview. I did find that there was some confusion about exactly what I needed to do, and that didn't necessarily completely go away. The menu system here is a series of almost nested menus where you get a job on what you need to do, then you hit that job, and it
I think it's only on PC for the demo, Dolphin.
ends up hot tabbing over to wherever that location is. However, there was some difficulty in general just understanding the steps, especially later on when it says, okay, now you can do this in any order you want. And I was like, well,
If
it didn't
YouTube's
really
acting up,
explain
guys.
supposedly exactly how they're going to be. But I just want to see more of that, more advancement in exactly how these maps are going to play out. I want to see more
Let's
of
go on
these
Rover
and
now.
just see how big they are and exactly where the trade-off happens between the Scout and a lot of those other vehicles, and if that continues to play out through the full game proper. When it comes to the vehicles, though, I did like them. I like controlling.
The bulldozer's the first thing you unlock. You have to, because that's what you're doing. You have your scout vehicle, find the route that you have to go, scout it out first, then take the bulldozer, clear the path, make it suitable for the rest of your trucks to go through, right? So it's like, what would you rather do? Would you rather force it, take the truck that you have, and go through a spot that you can't get through, and it could take you 20 minutes, it could take you 40 minutes, or do you take the scout, find the way, take the bulldozer, smooth it out, and that could also take you 35 minutes. I think it's either way is the same.
All of them, leaping into the different views and using them. Sometimes I found that a particular vehicle in a particular section wasn't necessarily used, though. I would like to see how that's going to play out. What I did like was the general feel. I like the idea of repair. I love the idea of going out and recycling. Roadcraft began to deliver the exact same sim feeling that other titles not within this particular company's bailiwick have delivered. We're doing something that you would never really think possible, or in the least case, interesting, turned out to actually be a zen-like state to it, where you sit back and you try to figure out the perfect way for you to grab 4
Why
or
do
5
you have all
pipes
this
and strap
shit
them
in
into
your
the
way?
back
Move
of
it
a
out of your
freaking
way.
vehicle, and then like a jackass, you decide, you know what? I'm going to try to carry a bunch of other stuff so I can make a shortcut of this entire trip. And then from there, trying to make sure that it doesn't all end in absolute disaster because you're top heavy or because the straps don't work because you decided you were going to overfill the back of your dump truck. Those are enjoyable. But I, for one, absolutely do understand the expectations. It's easy enough to latch onto expectations, especially when the prior titles were enjoyable. You want to see that sequel to a movie or that sequel to a game because you like the original. Luckily, I like the idea that they didn't put a subtitle on this. It's just its own thing, Roadcraft, and you got to grab onto that. And honestly, I
Like, I
think
would
that that's
smooth
going
out
to be
this whole
highly
area here.
important because the more they offer and the larger those experiences are, the more a lot of people can
Yeah,
say,
bring in some
hey, this
dirt.
is a side thing, and we get that, versus just saying, hey, I want a sequel to these other games, which we all do. I do support adjusting and trying new things, even if personally I find myself wanting a sequel to the games that I love. I also like the idea of doing something different, though. They don't necessarily fulfill.
I mean, it
the
would have been
gap.
cool if they
That's
made a
sequel
SnowRunners
and what it
2
would
with this
provide.
stuff
But they
in
do
it,
in
so you had
some
all
ways
that
still
stuff
hit a
and then this
particular
on top.
spot. It's a little bit like a hamburger when you want a steak, or vice versa, depending on just how absolutely chaotic or crazy you are. There were some things that I would like to have seen, some more sim elements, and I do think a hard mode for this game, and I mean a super hard mode where you are tracking all of that stuff, could be a great simulator.
Yeah, I think they should.
But
They should
I'm
be
just
able to
gonna
add
have
that.
to see when the full title comes out to really identify if that's absolutely required. With the idea that there is steering wheel support here, I went into the options and the steering wheel supports are all there with force feedback settings and stuff like that. Again, we'll just have to see once the full title is released. That's it for me. I hope you guys like these.
This comes out
previews.
May
If you do,
20th
give
as
it a
well.
Thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs up. Check out the Patreon. We talk about inside baseball for video games. We
8
talk about
massive
leaks and
maps.
rumors, but we also just sit back and talk about the games we're playing. People streaming
I think it
there.
looks pretty good. I don't know about the fuel thing though. I'm a little upset about the fuel. The fuel was a major part of the other thing, but like Dolphin said, he's like, maybe this will be a game I like to play because of that. Sarge says, I will play this as long as my nephew acts right. He puts me in the river and I will troll him until he cries. This is gonna be a game that I don't know if he'll play it, but at the same time, he's definitely gonna troll. He's definitely gonna troll. Yeah, it's co-op. I think it's up to 4-player co-op, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, my son will troll his uncle. 100%. Yeah, I'm excited about it. That comes out, I think May 20th is when it comes out. 15th, 20th, something like that. All right. 12:23. I think that's all the stuff here. Expedition Season 2. Yeah. Museum Advanced Access. A 2-point museum launches February 27th with Explorer Edition. Ultimate Street Fighter. Suzuka Hawaii features pirate battles, a new cannon combat system. Look, this is gonna do much better. Let me bring this up real fast. This is gonna do much better than Skull and Bones. This is gonna do much better than Skull and Bones. If you could board the ship, it's already better than Skull and Bones. Would be fam if he didn't. Yeah. No, my son does. He trolls me too sometimes. Assassin's Creed Shadow faces action from Japanese officials for the shrine destruction. Oh, okay. So that's what they were talking about before. What, did it get sued? What the hell's happening there? I guess we'll find out if more news breaks from that. Maybe we'll talk about that tonight on Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories in the past week, and we rant along the way. There's a demo on Xbox for what? For the pirate game? For Yuzuka? Okay. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you guys like the show, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. I do appreciate you very much coming out, hanging out with us. If you're here for 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, evening, or night, wherever you guys are in the world. We'll be back tonight, like I said, 8 p.m. tonight for GXG. And then we're done. The daily grind, we're off for the weekend. There are probably going to be late night streams popping up, live streams over on 30 and Still Gaming, because I want to probably play some Avowed. So I'm not going to make an announcement. I'll just be live playing Avowed. So if you guys want to come by and play Avowed or watch me play Avowed, come on by. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Good morning, sunshine.
Shine, rise and shine, the daily grind is here on time. With gaming news and fun galore, we'll chat and entertain once more. The coffee's hot, the mic is on. Jump in the chat, let's have some fun. From pixel small to stories grand, we bring the magic to your hand. We're nitty tuned in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix. Controller ready, headset too, we've got the updates just for you. From late night streams to morning plays, we cover gaming all the ways. Controller ready, headset too, we've got the updates just for you. From late night streams to morning plays, we cover gaming all the ways. Laughs and news on winning blend, the show with you, our dearest friend. Comments rolling, chats arrive, the daily grind, 5-star vibe. Tune in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix.